This is The Close-Up, conversations about creativity, made possible by Barco. From our studios in Los Angeles, here is Jim Chabin.
Ang Lee is with us. His groundbreaking new film, Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk, was shot at 120 frames per second, 4K, and 3D. He is a two-time Academy Award winner, winning Oscars for Best Director for Brokeback Mountain and Life of Pi. Welcome, Ang Lee. Thank you so much for being with us. You're one of few directors that people say, have you seen the new Ang Lee movie? You, Marty Scorsese, maybe Spielberg. People don't go to your movie, they say, I'm going to go see the new Ang Lee movie. What do you think you promise people when they come to your movie? What do you want them to come away with?
My best effort in reaction to my life experience during that period of time when I make it. I promise I always give that. If I don't feel that, I stop making movie.
You talked to the New York Times. You said that high frame rate was a little scary for you because it was new. How did you approach this when you decided that high frame rate might be the solution for it?
I think that's just my natural development as a filmmaker and perhaps as a person. Well, it's hard to separate the two, isn't it? It's like it's hard to separate emotion and high frame rate. I'm not a technical person, as I said many, many times. And that's not going to change, even if I wanted to. It's emotion. It's how you look into emotion with new medium.
So you won the Academy Award for Life of Pi. And the story is that you were feeling that maybe some of the emotion that you had intended for the actors didn't come through because of motion blur. Is that where this conversation started on HFR for you?
I didn't realize at the time. I did notice the different look from 2D and 3D. It started to puzzle me because 3D just happened. And it seems to me nobody, including myself, noticed that 3D is different than 2D. We treated them. We're shooting 3D, dimensionalized vision, like our eyes, but our head is brainwashed, at least trained by movies, which is something else. And the two blend together, actually, we never really taken advantage of what 3D really should be, or digital cinema really should be.
You're one of the few directors who's worked in 3D and then came back and added
and
HFR
from drama background, which is very rare. That's why I think it's very logical development.
Right.
Because the expression has to change. The performance has to change to be adjusted. And then I realized I have to see more clear, because in 3D, you notice the imperfectness 24 a lot more. Then once you raise that, lighting has to change. A lot of things.
Well, let's talk about that. You and John Toll started working with it. Did you do tests and have a look at it? Did you decide that you needed to do something different in capturing the images?
I know I had to do changes, but we didn't have the money. Nobody sponsored us. We don't have a grant to do the researches. So we're under researched. No, because just don't have the money. But we did do some.
But you basically started production and learned on the job.
It's two big jobs. One is development, the other research, the other is making the movie and deliver.
What I noticed when I saw the film is the lack of makeup, which I think is a powerful, it made it more, this was an intense movie. And after the movie, I'm thinking, why was I emotionally so hit by this?
Because you leave the flicks and you leave the makeup. You see it.
So you determined early on that makeup would in fact get in the way of the.
Yeah, you block performance. Yeah.
And how did you direct your actors? By and large, without Vin Diesel and Steve Martin are obviously veterans, but with the rest of the actors, how did you direct them when you created?
Well, it's easier to direct the less experienced actors. Because with the experienced actor, they're familiar with the act. And you have to sort of advise them to rid of that and to be seeing how your emotion is, really feel. So I direct more with feeling rather than given a task to act.
If an actor brings the typical acting skills too.
It looks like what it is.
It looks like they're acting.
Yeah.
It feels more like theater.
We're still acting because they know the lines. No, I didn't kill the guy, for real. It's like when you play magic, and you still play magic with, now you have lift the sleeves to show the sleight of hand, and you still have your bare arms. I think it's more like that. You just have to upscale your game. We're still pretending, yeah.
Once you're in post, did it affect your editing decisions?
Not a whole lot. I would like to, but I couldn't really do that yet because the budget is limited. We only have so much coverages, and the coverage has to be simple because the shots are extremely difficult, even a simple shot, just to be watchable, withstand the scrutiny of this kind of look. I would like to do longer takes, less cutting. But thank goodness, all the editorial skills method is still working. I cut more than I would like to, but I had to because that's the first try.
We honored you with the Harold Lloyd Award a few years ago, and when you gave the acceptance speech, you said,
I love that. I have it on my, in front of my office.
Well, get used to them. You may have some partners up there on the shelf with it. You said to the audience that evening that we all need to work on the cameras, that you were at sea, you were in the water with the 3D rigs, and you used F-65s. How far do you think the technology's come since you shot Life of Pi?
It was quite a lot from Life of Pi, but still not enough to have a lot of more people to pick it up, to do what this kind of format, this kind of medium want us to do, and how audience, once you allow that, wants to see. We're still in the beginning. I think the next request is more sensitive chips, because shooting higher frame rate, you lose a lot of light. You have to compensate that, and the gears are so cumbersome, so big, they need to be smaller. I know that contradict each other, the two elements.
Would you say that you and John felt that this was the greatest challenge you had ever taken on, or did you feel comfortable once you started that this is not that much more difficult than making a...
It's very difficult.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, very, very difficult.
And where do you feel that?
Everything. Filmmaking is difficult. The lack of knowledge, but most scary lack of the experience, the audience experience. You don't have feedback yet. It's going to take a while. No, movie gets this good for over 100 years. Numerous talented filmmakers work on it, experiment on it. You guess so much. It's our culture, established culture. It didn't happen overnight. So we're just in the beginning of something new, I think. It's going to take time.
Well, the new generation of laser projectors are going to give us high dynamic range and wider color gamut. How do you feel about those new abilities that...
Great.
So you're excited about that?
Yeah, I hope this can combine with high dynamic range.
You seem to be saying that HFR is not just for action sequences. And there were moments when Billy cries at the Star Spangled Banner that I found a highly emotional moment, and people told me that they wept when they saw this young man trying to make sense of all this absurdity, but still so moved by the Star Spangled Banner. Most industry folks would say, well, I see this in action sequences because we've got motion blur and that'll do it. The moments that I remember most about last night's movie were the emotional, the face
nuances,
and the tears, and you could see the tracks of his tears. You clearly are using this as much for emotion as for motion blur.
Yes, that's like a micro action. The detail, I think that's the best. You get more out of emotion, the nuances of performance than from actions.
You're at a point, having won 2 Academy Awards and so many other honors, that you certainly are at a place in your life where you get to work on things that are important to you. When you look at a story, whether it's Muhammad Ali or Life of Pi, these are not necessarily tentpole movies, and yet Life of Pi did $800 million and was a fantastic success worldwide. What are you looking for when you decide, I think I want to make this movie?
I'm at the age I start thinking about, which I didn't have to, but I could not help but pave the way for the younger filmmakers. Somebody has to go first. I don't mind to be the Marine guy, lie on a barbed wire, somebody step over me and go to the future. I think because I have the resource, I'm allowed to do certain things. So I hope I'm the guinea pig. I would just try out for something that could prepare for. I hope is what it is, the next generation of filmmaking. I don't know if I can reach there, but I hope this open a door.
Well, I think you
see it.
You get part up the mountain and you plant the Ang Lee flag, and we all march up behind you, hoping that we're going to get there.
I think it's important people see it, because movies show me business. You cannot think about it, theorize it. People just have to see it, and I want to see it. You know.
The movie is based on the book by Ben Fountain, written in about 2012. The foreword was written in 2013, and he says in the foreword to his book, it's about football, cheerleading, sex, death, war, capitalism, the movie industry, Destiny's Child, and the general insanity of American life in the early years of the 21st century. I would argue that culture is stupid in the literal sense. It does make us numb, and in culture I'm talking about 24/7 force feed of movies, music, television, internet, YouTubes, cell phones, iPods, iPads, sports at all hours, right-wing news, left-wing news, celebrity news. This movie is coming out at a time when the country is probably really re-examining itself and saying, what are we? What are we the product of? Your timing could not be more spot on for a time for us to reflect.
I started making this movie 2 years ago. How did I know what's going to happen today?
The week it
like this week.
What do you think the movie's about?
I mean, the material is so abundant, adapted from the book. So I didn't have to work too hard or think too hard about it. What I try to focus on is saying that how a young boy, innocent boy, look up to his country and the future of the world, how he deal with it, how he finds a place, a mental space for himself, his fate, how he deal with that. So it's like global warming is done. You just learn to deal with it. I think I try to focus on human drama and the young and innocent mind, how he react to all this. So that's human drama. That's where I'm coming from. Yeah, pretty much focus on emotion and thought processing, your observation and reaction to it.
Someone said that Ang Lee's characters sometimes have wisdom ahead of their time for their years. Is that what you're trying to? Is there anything spiritual in this?
Well, it's flattering to hear somebody say that, but I must not think that way. As much as I react to our time, I react to the media. I try to do the world service. I think I'm talented. That I'm not going to deny as false modesty in filmmaking. I think I owe to the world to give my best shot, just react and stay neutral and have them react to whatever is meant to be seen. I see myself as a servant to that. I know this sounds modest and spiritual, but I do feel that when I face a great story like those, when I face the audience reaction, sometimes I feel I'm too small to carry. I must think that I'm just doing a service. I'm the vessel. I love making movies. When I make movie, I don't think those things. I just do what I like to do most. It's hands-on. Whether it's 2D or 3D film or high frame rate digital images. When I have a feeling on them, when I have a feeling of what something I staged, I imagine, and that when I can feel it, it's a greatest pleasure and fulfillment. I just love those moments. The rest I have no control. I'm not always enjoying successfulness. Sometimes I get bashed a lot too, or at the same time. Both happen at the same time. But I must say, what I keep doing is I just love my hands on the filmmaking part of it.
In Life of Pi, there's a character in the book from Young Martel that says, "We must give things meaningful shape." And it seems as if that's what you try to do with your stories.
I think that's what story is. It gives a shape. It makes sense out of something doesn't make sense, which is life. It's too complicated. It's God's job. We couldn't make sense out of it. It could be absurd. That's why we comfort each other with telling stories. A story has a beginning, middle, end, has a shape. You know, it seems like it has a space, a defined space and time, and it's on flow. It makes a lot more sense. It feels like life has meaning when you watch a story. It's wisdom, so to speak. I think that's why with different form and format, we keep going back there, because it makes sense.
You are revered in our industry by the people who go to work every day to make movies, and fans, obviously. But because you're so tireless in your pursuit of implementing new technology to tell your stories better, or to tell your stories in a different way, how do you take on all of that resistance that seems to just be a part of progress?
Resistance? I think people resist it for two reasons. One is it's not good. They don't like it. The other is perhaps something new, take out their comfort zone. So for the first one, you just keep making it, do it better. And the other is the consistency. Just keep providing them until they get used to it, and be sensitive to their feedback, because that's a lesson to you. It's humbling experience, actually. It feels brave, but humbling at the same time. I think you just keep learning. I mean, both sides, the audience and the filmmakers. One
of the people I talked to in the audience standing out in front of the concession stand last night said, "I want to go see this in 2D in a smaller theater, because I want to see if it's as emotional as what I just experienced." Is the 2D version that is not high frame rate, is it a different movie?
I'm not in a position to tell. I've watched it so many times.
Right, right.
Somebody has to tell me. I think for me, perhaps not, because when I was making the movie, I envisioned this. This is what I'm shooting for. But for a lot of people, if they don't like the format, it's too much for them. It's like soldiers feel emotions. Sometimes it's too strong, they have to block it. That might happen. Again, that's different from person to person. For some, it's too much for them. I think they feel more emotion because they're more relaxed watching the traditional movies.
There's a moment when Steve Martin has a scene with Billy Lynn where he's talking with him. And the character of this character is not the most admirable of people. And it seemed to use negative space when he leaned in on Billy to make his point.
I love that shot.
I did too.
Everybody who's 3D to 3D loved that shot.
So here's Steve Martin 3D shots in your face, delivering this highly emotional moment in the movie. Did you know you wanted to do that? Or
yeah.
Always.
Yeah,
so talk about
It's
the
one of
process.
the shot I'm dreaming of before I shot it. When I get it, I was so happy.
The story is that we all know that you have wanted to make a Muhammad Ali movie.
I still want to.
Okay, well that wasn't, at that moment, wasn't to be. You did this. Did you have high frame rate in mind in 4K and 3D while you were trying to imagine
3D, 60, back then it was 3D for sure, higher frame rate, but I only knew about 60 and 2K.
And what would that do for an Ali movie? What would you want to capture there?
Other than emotion, of course, that's always my highest goal.
Right.
Like any visual effects person, their highest compliments, what a visual effect, I didn't see it. It is the same thing. I know somebody gets it when they didn't even notice what's the difference. They just experience emotional ride. So for Ali Frazier, emotion, and portrayal of faces, drama, the boxing, of course. Imagine you're the referee or the fighters in that fight, and what would that be like? You see not only a blur of what happened, but actually how it happens. You see the Joe Frazier's bad intention coming towards you and all that. At clarity, you see strategy. Boxing is always about courage, but this goes beyond. It's how smart they are, their strategy, their emotion. You actually see expression. Yeah.
Do you think that this is an inevitable new tool that you'll have in your toolbox as a director 10 years from now? We're all trying to imagine what will keep people coming back to movie theaters. What are your thoughts about that?
I think so. That's why I'm doing it. That's what leads me to do it. I'm one of the rare chances I do drama, and I happen to come across the technology of filmmaking as well. So I see it, but to me, it's not a leap or design. It's a very logical development from day-to-day development. I didn't come to this like within a couple of days. It's not thinking. It's one thing. It's very logical to me. I think this is where it's heading, but it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
I think
It's an extraordinary movie. It was powerful. It was emotional. And it had me from the moment the lights went down until the lights came back up, and I hope other fans will go out and see this film. I think it's an important film to be seen, whether in high frame rate or
low
2D.
frame rate.
Yes, just see the movie. It's a great movie, and it's very timely at this time. So thank you so much, and congratulations on extraordinary work.
Thank you.
The Close-Up is produced by the Advanced Imaging and VR Societies in Hollywood and is powered by Barco.